الله أكبر الله أكبر أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله أشهد أن محمدا رسول الله أشهد أن محمدا رسول الله أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله أشهد أن محمدا رسول الله أشهد أن محمدا رسول الله حي على الصلاة حي على الصلاة حي على الفلاح حي على الفلاح الله أكبر الله أكبر لا إله إلا الله.
الحمد لله رب العالمين. الحمد لله الحمد لله الحمد لله عدد خلقه ورضا نفسه وزنة عرشه ومداد كلماته ومنتهى علمه وجميع ما شاء وخلق وضرع وبرع عالم الغيب والشهادة الرحمن الرحيم الملك القدوس العزيز الحكيم. أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له له الملك وله الحمد يحيي ويميت بيده الخير وهو على كل شيء قدير. وأشهد أن محمدا عبده ورسوله صلى الله عليه وسلم أرسله بالهدى ودين الحق ليظهره على الدين كله ولو كره المشركون. أما بعد فيقول الله تعالى في كتابه يا أيها الذين آمنوا اتقوا الله حق تقاته ولا تموتون إلا وأنتم مسلمون. صدق الله العظيم. Alhamdulillah, we praise Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. We send peace and blessings upon his beloved Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, and upon his family and companions also be peace. Alhamdulillah, we thank Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for the ni'mah of al-Islam, the blessing or the favor of al-Islam. We thank Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for the ni'mah of reaching another Yawm Jumu'ah, another day of gathering. Many people all over the world, for the first time in the history of this ummah, are not doing Jumu'ah. So this is a big ni'mah for us, an amazing ni'mah. And if you really think about what we just said, it makes you want to cry. Before this thing happened, how many of us had the obligation and the ability to go to Jumu'ah every Friday and didn't do it? Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, لَإِن شَكَرْتُمْ لَا أَزِيدَنَكُمْ. If you are grateful for a thing, I will increase you in it. I will give you more of it. And the opposite of that is true as well. And this is proven by the verse of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala when Allah said in Surah Al-Ra'd, He said, إِنَّ اللَّهَ لَا يُغَيِّرُ مَا بِقَوْمٍ حَتَّى يُغَيِّرُ مَا بِأَنفُسِهِمْ. That indeed Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will not change the condition of a people until or unless they change the conditions within themselves. And as I always say when we talk about this ayat, in our common modern usage, we always quote this verse to mean that we're in a bad place and Allah is not going to change our condition, us being in the bad place, until we change what is within ourselves. And that is a proper usage of it. But it's not the primary usage of it. The primary usage is actually the other way. You're in a good situation. You're in a good place. You're enjoying the ni'mah, the favors, the blessings, the gifts of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And Allah will not change that condition until we change what is with ourselves. I.e., that is, Allah will not take away that blessing until we become ungrateful for it. When we are ungrateful for a blessing or favor of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He gives us respite and then He takes it from us. Think about a few months ago. All of the Muslims we know who had the obligation and the ability to go to Jumu'ah as Allah commanded, يا أيها الذين آمنوا إذا نودي للصلاة من يوم الجمعة فاسعوا إلى ذكر الله وذروا البيع. When you hear the call, or you who believe, when you hear the call for Yawm al-Jumu'ah, hasten to the remembrance of Allah and leave off all business. How many of us did the opposite? We heard the call to Yawm al-Jumu'ah and we continued business and we left off Jumu'ah. And how long has this been going on all over the world for so many of us? Allah said, you're not grateful, I take it from you. Now you can't go. And now we're upset that we can't go. When many of us, when we could go, we didn't go. This is a sign for us to reflect. Sometimes try to stand outside of your situation and look at the lessons that could be learned. Allah did not take our souls. If you're hearing us, they're still alive. That means we all have the chance to still get it right. We still can change. So Allah has blessed us with the ni'mah of Yawm al-Jumu'ah. And alhamdulillah, He's blessed us with the ni'mah of Shahr Ramadan, the month of Ramadan. Alhamdulillah Rabbil Alameen. The month of Ramadan. The month in which usually, especially us here in America and other countries in the West, usually we miss most of the blessings of the month of Ramadan. We get caught up in the mechanics of it and we miss the essence of it. For example, this Ramadan, as what normally happens in these countries, many Muslims are running around with their heads chopped off, not knowing what to do, not knowing when to start fasting, not knowing when Ramadan is. And it always seems as if the people who know the least are the same people who talk the most. Some people literally just woke up the day before yesterday and said, today is such and such a day of the month of Sha'ban. And our question is, how do you know what day it was when you haven't been paying attention the whole year? See, a lot of you young fellas, a lot of you young brothers and sisters, you don't know. See, when I was young coming up, a lot of the girls would play double dutch. It's a form of jump rope. You know, two people hold ends of rope. You know, we call straight rope. There's one rope, you turn it, right? Two people turning it. Then somebody gets in the middle and jumps. It involves timing. Then you have a more complicated form of that. It's two ropes, and they're turning the ropes. It requires a little bit more timing. You just can't just jump in it. If you jump in it, the rope is going to stop. You're going to mess up because the rope is going to get tripped. You're going to trip on the rope in your feet. You're going to mess up. When it comes to the month of Ramadan, this is a lot of us. Like double dutch. We jump into it, and not only are we not timing ourselves, but our eyes are closed. And we're jumping into the rope, and then we wonder why the rope stopped turning and it's not working right for us. You have to watch the rope. You have to make sure you see them, they timing themselves before they jump into it. It's about timing. Fasting the month of Ramadan is about timing. It's a precondition. In order for your fast to be valid, it has to be inside of the month of Ramadan. And the fact that we're having these arguments every year, and every year is another layer added to the complexity of the argument. And then some of us jump in at the last minute as if we're experts, and we don't even understand the valid differences of opinion. We don't understand the subgroups of each of these opinions, and then we don't understand the modern innovations that have been imposed and subsumed under these different opinions. We don't get it. And then we argue. And we argue. And we completely miss the boat. It would surprise some of you to know that yesterday, Thursday, some people were fasting. Yes. Some people were fasting yesterday. Some people are fasting today. And some people will be fasting tomorrow. Us here will be fasting tomorrow. We maintain a calendar and we post it every month for everybody to see where we're at. We adhere to a local sighting, which is the confirmed practice of the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. He said in a well-known hadith that is mutafiqun alayh, is agreed upon, meaning it's in Bukhari and Muslim, sumu li ru'yatihi wa aftiru li ru'yatihi. Begin fasting when you see it and break your fast when you see it. And if it is cloudy, or if for some reason you're blocked from seeing the hilal, the new moon, then complete 30 days. Obviously, yesterday and even still today is cloudy, and it's still raining in a large portion of the United States, and so many of us, we completed 30 days, and we're going to start fasting tomorrow. Some people began fasting today. People follow astronomical calculations, and we're not going to get into that today in this Jumu'ah Khutbah. That's for a dars or a class later. Some people follow sightings from overseas, and many people call those sightings into question. But for whatever reason, many people people started fasting today. And what we want to talk about is our response to this situation. We want to talk about a few reasons for the situation, but our response to the situation. Alhamdulillah. Alhamdulillah, alhamdulillah, Rabbil Alameen, wa afdalu salat wa atamu tasneem ala Sayyidina Muhammadin wa ala alihi wa sahbihi ajma'in, wa radiyallahu ta'ala an sadat tabi'in wa ulama al-amalin, wa a'immatul arba'atul mujtahidin, wa muqallidihim ila yawmiddin, amma ba'd. Alhamdulillah. Every year, as we said, we get into these arguments and debates. And when you argue and debate unnecessarily, it causes a hardening of the hearts between the believers. That's not a good thing. The more you argue, the more you begin to dislike your Muslim brother. And it adds to the weakening of the believers, of the brother. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, وَأَطِيعُوا اللَّهَ وَرَسُولُهُ وَلَا تَنَازَعُوا فَتَفْشَلُوا وَتَذْهَبَ رِيحُكُمْ وَاصْبِرُوا إِنَّ اللَّهَ مَعَ الصَّابِرِينَ. Obey Allah and His Messenger, and do not argue with each other, or you will lose, and your spirit or your power will leave you. Be patient. Allah is with those who are patient. Brothers and sisters, can you move up a little bit? Right now. Allah commands us with three things. Obey Him, obey His messenger, and do not argue with one another. And these in the Arabic language are commands, they're imperative orders, meaning it's a sin to do otherwise. But some of us, we just have to argue. If you don't do what I'm doing, I have to argue with you. I have to get the last word in. Argumentation. Arguing. Going back and forth. Always have to have the last word in. This is a blameworthy characteristic of the heart. Because what you are really saying is that I know and you don't. And most of us, we are what's called jahil mu'akhir. We have compounded ignorance. We don't know and we don't know that we don't know. Which comes about because of and leads to even more arrogance. Think you know something you don't even know. Can you imagine? Just think about, can you imagine me arguing with a professional in his trade? Me arguing with an electrician. And the most experience I have with electricity is changing the light bulb. I see, now you shouldn't run the wire like that, man. You should be doing it this way. And I keep going on and on and on arguing with him. Can you imagine? And he'll be stupid for arguing with me. He knows I don't know. I'm not using the proper terminology or anything. And he stands there arguing with me. Can you imagine me arguing with a doctor? I know nothing about medicine. Prophetic medicine, homeopathic medicine, no medicine. Can you imagine me arguing with him? And him foolish enough to stand there arguing back and forth with me about complicated medical procedures. Hold up, Doc. See, you don't know what you're talking about. See, they deceived you in school. See, I know what I'm talking about. See, I went to YouTube the other day, and I saw this guy was talking. He also wasn't a doctor, but he knows. Right? That's a stupid argument. I'm stupid for arguing, and he's even more stupid for entertaining me. We argue about the moon, what they're doing over there, and we miss the whole purpose of the month of Ramadan. Ya ayyuhalladhina amanu kutiba alaykumus siyam kama kutiba ala alladhina min qablikum la'allakum tattaqun. O you who believe, fasting has been prescribed to you, as it was prescribed to those who came before you, so that you may achieve taqwa, so that you may gain taqwa. The purpose of this act of worship, the purpose of practicing this pillar of Islam is for us to get closer to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. But we get mixed up arguing. As Allah said in Surah Al-Anfal, verse number 46 that we mentioned a few minutes ago, Ati'ullah wa rasuluhu wa la tanazaru. Obey Allah and His Messenger and do not argue. Don't argue. Fatafshalu, and you lose, or you will lose. Fa is a causative conjunction. Fa sababiyya. If you disobey these orders Allah gave you, fatafshalu, you will lose. You will fail. You wonder why we seem to fail? This is one of the reasons, because we always arguing. The people who really have knowledge, they're not arguing. It's the people who don't know who are arguing. You will lose what tadhabarihukum, and your spirit, your rih, your wind that pushes you will depart from you. You know, this is the reason why a lot of Muslims don't like being around a lot of Muslims. Why? Because every time they come around Muslims, we're arguing. And the one who really understands the subject that's being argued about recognize how dumb everybody sounds. And some people are like, you know what? I can't mess with y'all. I'm doing my own thing. I'm going over here. This is what Allah's talking about. Your spirit, your motivation, your drive will leave you. Allah commands us to be patient, and He is with those who are patient. You know, sometimes, even when you think you're right, even if you know you're right and you're right, sometimes you just have to let it go. You have to drop it. You need to be like, okay, all right. Let them have the last word. Those of you who've been married before and have successful marriages, you understand exactly what I'm talking about. You're going back and forth with your wife or your husband, you know she's wrong. If you just have to be right, that argument could destroy your marriage. Because it's going to get more intense, it's going to get more anger, more emotions involved. It's not just about facts now. You're going to start calling names. You know, I hate you. Always hated you. What? Sometimes you just gotta be like, you know, all right, you got it. There's even a running joke amongst the men. Women can know that they're wrong, they ain't gonna apologize for it. How does she apologize? Your dinner's ready. She's not gonna say, Habibi, I was wrong, you was correct. It's not gonna happen most of the time. Sometimes you have to let it go. If you experience marriage, you know that already. The brotherhood is a marriage. just have to drop it. I want to mention one other situation to highlight the importance of not arguing. You know, there's a hadith in Sahih Bukhari, and it was narrated by Ubadah ibn as-Samit. Ubadah ibn as-Samit was one of the companions from the Ansar who gave the bay'ah to the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam at Aqaba. One of the famously black Sahaba. He's one of the famously black Sahaba. You know, years after the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, there was a delegation that was sent to Egypt when Egypt was being opened up under Amr ibn al-As, radiallahu ta'ala anhu, and they went to meet with the Watheeqat, or the Bishop of Alexandria. And the Muslims that met with him, he was part of that contingency. And he was a spokesperson. And the Bishop of Alexandria said, I need someone else to talk to. This black man is scaring me. He literally said, that's documented. But and they said, you know, he's the most knowledgeable, most righteous person in our delegation, and you know, we all respect his opinion and we look up to him. He's one of the companions of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Ubadah ibn as-Samit. He narrates a hadith in Bukhari where he said, the Messenger of Allah sallallahu alaihi wasallam was coming out to inform us about Laylatul Qadr, the night of power that we look for in the month of Ramadan, better than 1,000 months. Laylatul Qadr. The Messenger of Allah sallallahu alaihi wasallam was coming out to tell the believers exactly when Laylatul Qadr was going to start. We look for it now. We don't know when it's going to be. But he was coming out to tell the believers when Laylatul Qadr was. And when he came out, two Muslims were arguing. And the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, "Farafa'at." It was raised up, meaning the knowledge of that day, the night of power, was raised up. And he said, وَأَنَا أَسَى تَكُونُ خَيْرًا. And it could be a good thing that it was raised up. The knowledge of the day of power, the night of power was raised up. So therefore look for it on certain nights, right? This is a big lesson that we usually miss. It's like the elephant in the room. At the end of Ramadan, we argue. At the beginning of Ramadan, we argue. And in the middle, towards the end of Ramadan, we look for the night of power. If we forget why we have to look for the night of power. Because the knowledge of it was raised up. Why? Because Muslims were arguing. We keep missing the boat. How obvious does the lesson have to be? Do I have to spell it out? Some of us are that blind. Just stop arguing. Don't argue. Some people are always argumentative. That's one lesson that we can learn from this hadith that you can find in Bukhari. The reason why we have to look for the night of power is because some Muslims were arguing, and Allah used that as a reason to lift that knowledge up from us. How many other things have been raised up from us because we insist on arguing? And it would be one thing if the argument was just an exchange of facts and information. But when we argue, we abuse each other. We get disrespectful. We call names. We belittle people, which is a sign of a hypocrite. The Messenger of Allah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he taught us that the signs of a hypocrite are four if and when this person is a full, complete hypocrite, if he displays all of these characteristics simultaneously at the same time. When he speaks, he lies. When he makes a promise, he breaks it. When he trusts him with something, he violates the trust. And when you argue with him, he gets abusive. So when we argue, we get abusive and disrespectful. That's a sign of nifaq. It's a sign of hypocrisy. So for the rest of this month, if you and I participated in any arguing yesterday or the day before yesterday, make intention right now to give it up. Give up that argument. Don't argue with anyone anymore. Especially no one from amongst the Muslims. And especially during this month, concentrate on Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Concentrate on the Quran. Concentrate on your worship. When the end of the month of Ramadan comes, don't argue about the Eid. Don't argue. One of the main reasons that we argue, number one, because this happens mostly in the West. Because this is not an Islamic country. We practice Islam voluntarily. Nobody can, make you do anything. You don't have to do anything if you don't want to. You don't have to pray. You don't have to pay zakat. You don't have to fast the month of Ramadan. You don't have to make hajj. You can do what you want. Nobody's going to say anything to you. When you live in a Muslim authority and you don't pay zakat, somebody's going to send an auditor to your house to determine if you are legally required to pay zakat. I mean, under ideal Islamic circumstances. I'm not talking about nowadays. And they say, oh, you meet the nisab. Oh, you have a minimum amount of wealth required to pay zakat. We're going to calculate it. And you need to pay it. If you don't pay it, someone's going to take it. Nobody's doing that to us. It's all voluntary. Under Islamic leadership, the governor, the Amir, the Khalifa, the Sultan, the Wali, whatever the Imam, whatever the title is, he says when Ramadan starts and when Ramadan ends. But we don't have that. And we choose to be individuals, renegades, Ronin, in this Western society. And this is the result of that. Even in countries with predominantly Muslim populations that are not technically Islamic countries, they have less of this problem than we do. Because some body of scholars, some governing body, somebody that's recognized by the government says today is Ramadan in the country. We don't have that. Every man for themselves. And because we refuse to organize in Jamaa'ah, we refuse to organize into communities, we refuse to respect and recognize leadership, it's going to get worse and worse and worse. You deal with that problem, you deal with a large portion of this problem we have during Ramadan, beginning and ending every month. So one problem leads to another. But while we're having this problem, don't argue. Leave it alone. You don't have to win. If you win the argument, so what? You're still going to do what you're going to do, and he's still going to do what he's going to do. And you just wasted your time, and now you like the brother, you like the sister a little bit less, which is un-Islamic. So may Allah protect our hearts. May Allah bless this month of Ramadan. May Allah use this as a means of drawing closer to Him.